Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy For Now. It's me, Isabel, here with my updated 2024 Bookish Buzzwords. So I did one last year, and I feel like this is the video I'm going to start doing yearly because I think my buzzwords stay the same. So like I'm not going to mention all of the same ones, but they also evolve over time. There's a lot of things I'm still interested in, of course, like, and our basic tropes. You know, I do love a grumpy sunshine. I do. But there's some things I've started to like proceed with caution on, to say the least. So I am excited to share with you these new buzzwords. We're kind of going to be, it's kind of going to be a mix of some broad things, some niche things, and then we'll also talk a little bit about some of the things that make me pause now more than ever, which might surprise you. First things first, the most unsurprising one probably is that I always want to pick things up that have neurodivergent rep whenever I see that, especially in trad books. Like if anything is traditionally published with that, I usually want to try and read it. That doesn't mean I'm great about it, but I usually do add it to my TBR pretty quickly or put it on hold at the library. I myself have ADHD. I am someone who was lucky enough to be diagnosed as a child and have developed strong coping mechanisms and like abilities to deal with it because of that. But I just love getting to see myself on page because it is something that until recently I wasn't seeing on page a lot. And that really has just made life better to sometimes see yourself reflected back, you know? Like, it's just a delight. Another one that I absolutely love is monsters or aliens and stuff like that in my books. I really love a unique romance setup around monsters or aliens, stuff like that. We're gonna smash those two together. But I do have to say, like, this has to, like, also have something else about it that piques my interest because we now have, like, a plethora of monster romances, right? So, like, I've not really read a ton of orc books. I've got a couple that I have on my TBR that I'll probably read at some point. But, like, it has to really pique my interest. So I have one that I want to read that comes out later this month, I think, and it's like I summon my book boyfriend demon thing. This is an author I saw on TikTok, and basically the girl summons her book boyfriend that's a demon into the real world, and I was like, that sounds really fun. So yeah, I just have to have something there that's like piquing my interest that makes it a little different or unique for me to pick it up, but also like that's not a bad thing. I love the fact that we have so much variety now in the monster space. For a long time it was just aliens, and now we've really expanded outward on this trope. The other thing I absolutely love, and I don't read a ton of, but when I find it, I just love it, and it's Idiots in Love. I don't know what better way to phrase this, but they're both just kind of dumb. Like, they're just kind of too, just like not pay attention-y for their own good, and it's like, what do you mean you didn't realize you liked this person? And they're just head over heels for each other, and ridiculousness ensues because of this. I love that. Like, I absolutely adore that. It doesn't happen. Again, it's not something I pick up enough of, but I love when it happens. I'm always like, this is so fun. Because, you know, sometimes I just want to not have a thought in my brain, personally. So I just think it's fun to read about people who are just like that about love. The next one is going to be sapphic romances. I love a sapphic, but there's a caveat here. Specifically when I'm told it is explicit. Because I keep getting so disappointed by the amount of sapphics I pick up, so excited for, and they are not explicit. There is no sex on page. And that's not to say every book has to have sex on page, because it's not that. But you gotta, like, I need a little more, you know? Like, I get frustrated because I do want to see that on page. I don't know what it is that recently I feel like I've just dealt this hand of, like, sapphics with nothing explicit on page, but it's made me, like, hesitate more. So I'm like, okay, but is it explicit? Is it fade to black? It doesn't have to be full on. I just would like to see a little more represented on page when it comes to my sapphics. Next is one that I feel like is a lot of people's favorites. I also love it. I don't know a lot of people who don't like it, and that's Caretaking. And I think about, like, I just read Just for the Summer, and there is such a spectacular caretaking moment in this. Like, he uses a unicorn pool float to get to her, okay? And that's all I'm going to tell you, because it's just so good how and what he does to, like, help her because she's stuck on this island sick. And, like, stuff like that is just magnificent. And, like, if you're going to give me caretaking and, like, it's the hero or the love interest who, like, goes above and beyond to take care of this person, I'm gonna gobble it up. I'm gonna be so ecstatic for it. I just love that kind of setup. Like, it's just such a good setup. It is totally just right in my little niche zone of, like, yes, please give me more. I don't know what it is about caretaking. I guess I think as, like, someone who is female presenting and stuff and, like, identifies as female, the amount of caretaking we do for others, like, it just feels nice to read about people caretaking someone else. And that someone else caretakes. Like my partner is a good caretaker. Do not get me wrong. He 100% is like if I'm sick, like he is out at the store. He is getting, like, he comes home with all the things and is like, what do you need? Like person. So he's the wings and wings person, if you've seen that video. Except for he would know what that was, but still. Same energy. The other one is, this is my hardest to find one. This is one that, like, I don't know if I've done a rec video on this before or not. I probably have. And I don't think I have many more because it just doesn't exist in its purest form, in the form I want it most often, or in the best examples that I already have, right? And that is morality chain. So I love it. Like, I read cross genre. Like, I read so broadly in the romance genre as far as like our subgenres go. And I love a dark romance. I love a twisted hero. And I love a morality chain in which he is only good because she is in his life. I don't know what that says about me, what part of my psyche we need to interrogate here. We don't need to. It's fine. It's fine. It's fiction. But I absolutely lose my mind when I get a book that is morality chain. Like, one of my all-time favorite books, it's by Nalani Singh. This is the UK cover, but like, he is only good for her. He is only good because he loves her. He only isn't going to destroy the world because he loves her. Like, you know, like a lot of Immortals After Dark, similar vibes. I live for this. This trope, like, feeds me when I get it. And I feel like there's a lot of books that, like, border on it, like some of the serial killer and darker taboo mafia romances. Definitely, like, borderline morality chain. But, like, it has to be a very intense, like, no, I'm only doing this because you're in my life situation, which is not what we always get. And that's fine. But I would love it if we did. Would love it if we did. Okay, another thing that will usually make me insta-click, depending on the fic. There's a couple of these that I won't do. But if it is a former fan fiction that was based on a franchise, like Raylo, we know, y'all know I like a Raylo fic that's been translated, / serial numbers filed off. Some of my favorites the last few years have been those. But it has to specifically be like a fic of like a thing. It can't be like real people fic. Because like there's a Raylo fic author who has real people fic out that I will not read. No thank you. Like, she has a book inspired by Adam Driver and I was like, no thank you. And like, I don't know. I think this goes back to my roots of being on like fanfiction.net when I was in middle school and, you know, reading my Sailor Moon fics. I think that for me, fanfiction and fanfiction style writing, people want to say it derogatorily and like be rude about it, but I truly believe that we have honed and crafted some of the best writers of our like generation now through fanfic, because you were able to, and for a long time, because people have literally been able to develop their craft while writing about already established characters, and it takes work to successfully translate that to a regular book. I will almost always pick up a book if it's former fic, especially when traditional publishing picks it up, because I'm always really curious how that's going to play out. But I also just generally speaking really like the style of writing we often find in fanfiction spaces, because again, there's a certain readability that you often can find there. Not always, but often. And I feel like the ones that get picked up have that style. So I'm always very happy to pick up a former fic. The other one is, I love when death is a love interest. I don't know what that says about me. It's fine. But I always think it's interesting, or death is a character in a book. I'm always curious by this and want to pick it up. Like, I just read a book, Follow Me to the Yew Tree. Oh my gosh, yes, that's the title. I swear to God, I cannot keep that title straight to save my life, as you all know if you watched my mid-month. Anyways, this one, death is a character in the background. That was fascinating. The one I read by Avina St. Graves, that's title is escaping me, death is the love interest. I just find it fascinating. I think it also kind of twists the darker romance themes a little around and like adds a paranormal twist when death is the love interest. I've read some I don't like, but I generally speaking enjoy when like death or the Grim Reaper is involved. Who knows? The goth life in me. Ever present. Another thing that will often make me one click a romance book is rugby. I love rugby. Rugby is my preferred sport. We just don't really have it in the States that easily accessible. Let me tell you, if there is a rugby romance, I will be reading it, because it is a delight. I have read a handful. There's not a ton out there, to be honest with you, that I know of that are rugby, but if I see it, I'm clicking on it. I need to know. Then the last and fun one is kind of violent or crime meet cute. So like the book I just read, Thief, she's literally mid robbing his house and eating his leftovers and trying to find this stone that he bought when she gets caught, and like that's their meet cute. Or like if it's knife to the throat meet cute, like any of that sort of stuff, like kind of a twist on our typical like cute, sweet, fun meet cute. I'm here for it. I love it. live for it, cannot wait every single time. If you tell me, or like, you know, he kidnaps her, like things like that, like I just think can be such a fun setup. So yeah, I'm always happy to pick up a kind of violent or just really kind of different meet cute in which we're talking about someone who like does a thing. Like right now I am reading a serial killer romance that their meet cute is gonna be fascinating, I think. So yeah, I really like a meet cute that is different in this way, and generally speaking also not like embarrassing, because that just makes me feel uncomfortable. Okay, next, let's talk about some more of the kind of micro-y niche things that'll happen in books that I, generally speaking, can sell me on a book. One of those is pegging. As always, I love pegging in books. We don't get a ton of it. I still have a handful to read on my TBR, but it truly is one of those tropes that like we don't see a lot of. And I actually am like going to read Butcher and Blackbird because the next book has it. So I have to know. I have to know. I also love secretly a nerd heroes. So like, or heroines, like, and in general, even if it's not a secret, I love nerdy heroes and heroines, and just in general characters. Like I loved in the Carolina Comments, one of our heroines is into horror movies heavily. So like, she's very nerdy about that, right? I just love it. I love when we find out somebody has like a comic collection or any of these things, because that's just like, that's life. And I think it's cool when people have interests that aren't just like the gym and sports. Like I like that kind of character development. So I love a secret or openly nerdy hero or heroine, love interest, anyone in a book. I'm just pumped every time. And the other thing is, if there is like comparison that the hero is Captain America-esque and or Bucky-esque, I will be picking it up because I love Bucky. I also love Cap, but through and through I'm a Bucky girl. So yeah, there's that. That'll also make me pick it up. So one last thing before we talk about my anti things is cover language stuff, because I think it's interesting to like say buzzwords, but there's also like one other factor that affects my clicking into a book, picking up a book, etc. And that is the cover, right? And I love a clinchy cover. I love those old school, I mean, I have a bunch of them. I love an old school romance. I love a book with a good cover, like the Not Another Love Song, he's got like his hand on her neck. Fantastic. The Next Best Fling, which comes out in July, same thing. Like he's kind of got to push up against the book. Oh, it's hot. Like they're hot. They're horny. Please, I want more covers that show me they're horny. And I know that it might be a weird statement to some people, but I want this because to me, two people standing next to each other on a cover doesn't tell me crap. I don't know how spicy this book is. It could be like the most explicit thing I've ever read, or it's like fade to black, which is fine. Like I don't mind, but I need that communication I get from cover indicators. So when I see books like this that have like that kind of cover, I'm like, yes, please sign me up. I also try to buy them because I want to make sure I am getting more of that in my book covers. You know, it's like that new Abby Jimenez. I knew this was going to be pretty like low steam, and that's okay. Like I didn't need it to be more than that, but like, you know, this reads Emily Henry level of steam. But when they're like, you know, like I just like covers communicate so much for me on when I want to pick up a book. So yeah, I definitely am always looking for a cover that tells me this book's got some fun stuff inside that you're going to enjoy. And sometimes, I don't know, they're just horny and I love it. I love a horny cover. Let's talk about some of the things that make me pause these days though, which I do think might surprise you. Okay, first up, anything that I'm told is like, this is like blank book from Jennifer L. Armentrout or Sarah J. Maas, pause, full stop. I am like, what are you talking about? No, I do not want to read that book. I don't think I will be one clicking it. You, like, one of my friends would have to read it and love it and tell me I would love it. Because I feel like that statement is said too often and too broadly, and it never pays off. Not even that these books, like, are fantastic. Like, I don't like JLA. So, like, I'm just assuming I'm not going to like that book. And then, when it comes to Sarah J. Maas, I feel like if it has fairies in it, no joke, they're just like, yeah, it's just like Sarah J. Maas. And I'm like, that is not enough detailed information. If that's all you could equate this book to, there's more fairy books than hers out there. So like we need to readjust our thought processes here. The other thing is I also now hesitate a lot more than I used to on retellings or inspired buys. I need some friends that have read it. I need some vetting. Not because I hate them. I love them. I love a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but I hesitate a lot because I feel like we just get this label slapped on a lot lately. Again, similar, like, oh my god, he's kind of a beast and she loves books. Boom, Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's like, no, not exactly. I need a little more substance to it, right? Like, I would rather you call it than an inspired by, or like hero and heroine inspired by. Like, that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think this is another label that, like I said, just gets slapped onto things that like don't fit. So I will always hesitate on that one. And last but not least, probably the biggest surprise to y'all, I will hesitate when something says hockey romance, because here's the thing. I love my hockey books, but I am picky and pickier about my hockey romances these days and what I enjoy, because it's just such a minefield now because it took off again so much. And you know, this isn't my first rodeo of hockey books being big, but with how much they took off, I feel like people just started throwing hockey heroes into things and we're like, that's enough. That's good enough. We're good. There you go. There's your buzzword. And I'm just like, this book didn't even need that. Like, it's barely a topic. Like, it's obvious you just did this for the click. So yeah, that's one of the things. But like, I'm really curious about the Zavon book where the hockey player like travels back in time, though he's in the wrong paths. So that's weird. But I'm just saying, like, there's ones I'm still interested in. I just saw one that was like, she's a chess player and he is a hockey player. And I was like, I might pick that up because that sounds interesting too. I love that sort of setup, like a nerd and a jock. But like, you gotta convince me otherwise. You know, like, there needs to be a little more to it than just like, he's a hockey player, because that's not a one click for me anymore. Again, I still love my hockey books, I still have my faves, and I'm still gonna read my faves, but finding new ones that I want to read from, I'm a little more hesitant, because again, I've gotten pickier. Anyways, that is all of my updated buzzwords that I could think of for this video. Let me know your buzzwords in the comments, or your anti-buzzwords. What are things that also make you hesitate? I think it's fascinating. I know a lot of people have like this thing but caveats, but I generally like, this is like what's gonna get me to go look at the book further, right? Like, go read a description, maybe check a review or two, which is something I'm like 50-50 on if I do. It really depends. So yeah. Let me know that in the comments. If you don't want to do any of that, you can leave me, of course, a bee emoji. I think I did a bee last time too. Probably, because buzz. Leave me a bee emoji in the comments and I will have links to the couple things I mentioned. I don't know. We'll figure it out down below, and I will talk to y'all in just a few days. Bye.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away.